Okay, so I'm going to be telling a story here today. First, I'll do the telling. Till the time I'm telling, you all will be listening. Then, when you are telling, I will be listening. Something's very important because I'm very, very forgetful. So, when I'm telling a story and somebody talks in between, I forget what I was telling. So, please, 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 lovely children, cooperate with me. Put yourselves on mute. After I'm finished telling, I will have everyone unmute themselves and then we can do something very, very, very interesting. Okay? Awesome. So I'm going to be telling a story, and the name of the story is Stupid Nicholas. So once upon a time, in a faraway land, in a land where the fairies and the witches and the wizards lived. In that land, there was also a king. Now, the king somehow was an invisible king. Nobody in the land had ever seen the king. But they've heard many stories about the king. The stories were not that good, The stories were about the madness of the king and how mad he was. Whenever he didn't like anyone, he had the superpower. He had the superpower of turning that person into an animal. So everybody in that land was very scared of the king because they didn't know what would upset the king. One day, there was a dark and dense forest. Which surrounded the kingdom. And there came a news from the forest that there is a big, humongous, dangerous dragon who has come to the forest. The news soon came to the kingdom, and all the people in the kingdom were very, very scared. And so was the king. The king kept thinking all night. But what could he do with the dragon? He knew that the dragon had come to the forest to attack his kingdom and to kill him and to rule his people. The king got very upset. He was very anxious. He didn't know what to do. And the first thing in the morning, he called his court. He called all his subjects to the court and said,
Oh, look at you. You scared little witches, wizards, and fairies. Look at your hands. Oh, they are shivering. So we all know that there is a dragon in the forest and we must do something. So I command you to go to the forest and get me the head of the dragon.
Me? Oh, I'm already so scared of the forest. How could I go inside the forest and get the head of the dragon for the king? Oh, but I had to obey my king. So at the sunset, I got out of my house and started walking towards the forest. forest was full of wild animals. Oh, I got very scared and I ran back to the court. I ran back to the court and I went right to the king and I pleaded to the king, "Oh king, my king, I am too scared to go inside the forest. Please spare me."
Oh, you couldn't. Could you? Do you want to say something for the last time? Because I shall now turn you into a goat.
Meh, meh, meh. So this is how the king turned his subject into a goat. But the problem was still there. Somebody had to go and get the head of the dragon for the king. So this time, king chose another subject.
You! I command you to go to the forest and get me the head of the dragon.
The subject started walking towards the forest. The wind was blowing. The trees were shaking. The leaves were rustling. I could hear footsteps coming closer to me. I could hear sounds. I kept walking. The sounds became stronger and louder. I got scared. I couldn't go any further. I turned back and I ran back to the king and I pleaded to the king, "Oh king, my king, I am too scared to go in the forest."
Even you couldn't. Do you want me to say something for the last time? Because I shall now turn you into a dog.
So the king turned his subject into a dog this time. But he was still not happy. He still had the dragon waiting there in the forest. And he was still scared that the dragon might come and attack his kingdom and that he would kill the king. So king commanded another subject to go in the forest and kill the dragon and come back with the head of the dragon.
I command you to go to the forest and get me the head of the dragon.
But this time, the subject was not scared, as he knew that he had to go anyway. He was dealing with a mad king, So he started. At the sunset, he came out of his house and started walking towards the forest. The wind was blowing. He closed his ears The leaves were rustling. He looked straight, looked up at the trees. And then he heard a shriek from behind. And he turned back and he ran as fast as he could. He was running. He got very scared and he came back to the king without the head of the dragon. And he pleaded to the king, "King, oh my king."
Even you could you? Now do you want to say something for the last time, because I shall now turn you into cat.
Meow. 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 Slowly and slowly, the entire kingdom was turning into animals. The witches were no more the witches, the fairies were no more the fairies, and the wizards were no more the wizards. Now, there was only one person left in the kingdom. And the king thought, why should he not try him? So he called him to the court and said,
You! I command you to go to the forest and get me the head of the dragon.
Poor little subject had no choice but to obey the king. And he walked towards the forest. The wind was blowing. The trees stood tall. The full moon was lit. The animals were hungry. I still walked with my eyes closed. And I heard the hiss of a snake. I opened my eyes and I saw a big snake looking right into my eyes. I got scared. I got very scared and I ran back to the court. I was running. The snake was following me. I was running. It was night. The wind was blowing and the leaves were rustling. The animals were hungry. But I kept running and I kept running and I came to the court and I pleaded to my king. King, oh my king, I tried, but I couldn't.
Even you could you? Now, do you want to say something for the last time? Because I shall now turn you into a hen.
The entire kingdom was now turned into animals. There was no one who could speak anymore. So now the king had no choice but to go himself to the forest to slay the dragon. So the king got ready. He wore all his arms. And as the sun set and it was night, the king started walking towards the forest. The king kept walking. He still kept walking. He wanted to see the dragon. He kept walking. And he got deep inside the jungle. He was walking. He looked around, but he could not see the dragon anywhere. But he kept walking. He saw the entire jungle, but he could not find the dragon. He got tired and he decided to come back to the court. As he came back to the court, he obviously did not have the head of the dragon in his hands. And all the people of the land were gathered to see the king with the head of the dragon in his hand. As they saw their king with no dragon in their hand, there was chaos in the entire kingdom. Demanding that the king does the same to himself as he did to all the other subjects. So the king had no choice. And finally, the king had to change himself into a... Seeing the king turn into a donkey, there was fun and laughter and happiness in the whole kingdom. Yes, there was no dragon. And the mad king kept sending his subjects to look for a dragon and to keep turning them into animals. And finally, he got what he did to others. And the king turned into a donkey. Thank you.